I've given away millions, over $1 million in sales this year, I believe, and where I can create more freedom for my family. And so
Awesome.
that's a goal in 2023, and create that freedom to be the family man that I want to be, to love my daughter as much as I can and let her feel like I'm there as much as possible. Where I can make every gymnastics meet and make all those things, because I want to be as fast as I am for my clients. I want to be that at home. And I can be 5 Mile famous across the world, but I'd rather be famous in my house.
What's going on, everyone? I'm here with my good buddy, Jacob Fuchs of Fraser Roofing down in Georgia. And man, I've been excited to get him on the show, because this is a man that if you're in the roofing industry, you probably know. You probably see him all over. You probably think that he owns Fraser Roofing or something like that, because he's all over the place. He's that omnipresent. But this is a leader. This is a sales rep. This is a business leader that has built a really solid brand for himself and a really solid business. And we're going to dive into how he has been able to do that. I'm just going to give you a little teaser. There are no secrets. There's no overnight success here. This is an extremely hardworking gentleman who has put in the work for a while and has built up a very solid book of business. So I'm excited to dive in. What's going on, my man?
Hey, man, I'm excited to be here. I was super stoked to see you out in Philly, and I was like, man, this would be really, really cool. And when you hit me up and said, hey, I'd like to shoot the podcast, I was pretty stoked. And it's funny, I mentioned it to Dom, and Dom was like, oh, he's in our Contractor Fellowship group. He's a great guy. They love you very, very much, and they want me to say hello for them. They went to Miami last night because his mother got sick. So he took the family out to Miami to see her mother, or his mother. And but he wanted to make sure I said hey for him.
Oh, how nice of him. What a super nice guy. I really don't know him like on a one-on-one basis really well, but just from the small group settings and all that. But I mean, that's a guy that I don't think I've ever heard a bad word said about him. So
he's an incredible person, and very incredible.
I bet. I would like to get to know him. So hey, maybe I should have him on too.
Hey, knock it out.
Yeah, man. All right, cool. So yeah, we met at Top Rep event out in Philadelphia in August, a few months ago, recording this right before Christmas in December. And back in Philly, you were talking about this concept of 5 Mile famous, and something I talk about a lot, something that you have really executed on over the past few years. So we're going to dig into that, but just give people a little bit of background as to who you are, what you do, and just kind of paint that picture.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, my name is Jacob Fuchs. I'm based out of Atlanta, Georgia. I live in a small town personally called Thomaston, Georgia, but I think I'm in my senior year of roofing now. I worked in the construction field for some time. A lot of people go, man, how long have you been doing this? Not as long as people think. It really hasn't. I worked in construction for a long time, and before I got into roofing, I worked in a building science background. So I had a little bit of construction. I have a lot of building knowledge, a little bit of science knowledge when it comes to the inner workings of a home and how a structure actually works and should operate from the ground up. And I remember when I had my little girl on the way, I thought, hey, I made good money. I've always done decently well, but I was like, I've got to do something a little bit more to set my family afloat, and to make sure that there's always growth and opportunity. And I was bugged for years from roofing sales guys going, dude, you got to get in roofing, because all my friends were roofers, and they were like, dude, you're so great at sales. You got to do this. You're motivated. And I was always in the gym. And for some reason, roof guys like to work out. I don't know what that is, but they were always in the gym with me. And they were like, you just got to do this. And I said no for like a year and a half. I went to a couple of meetings in different roofing companies, interviewed, and I was like, nah, not for me. I'm good. And then one day I dived all in. And I was like, I can do my job in this. And the owner looked at me and said, dude, you either got to be all in or all out, because you have so much potential in this if you could just see it. And I said, you know what? I'm all in. And the rest is history.
Man, isn't that interesting? Sometimes it takes someone else to like kind of see something in you or help you believe in yourself or see a bigger future for yourself. And I found that to be true in my case. So was that Fraser? Was that Dom, or was that another company?
At that point, it was my first roofing company I really worked for, was a company that was called DreamWorks. You're familiar with Jeremy Gilstrap. Funny, he actually sent me a text last night. He said, hey, dude, you're just on my mind. Want to say I love you, Merry Christmas. And so I haven't heard from Jeremy in a long time, but last night I was putting my daughter to bed. He sent me a text message. Yeah, I worked for the company for a long time, and that's where I got my feet wet in the roofing. And there was a point where they were going in a direction where Jeremy's always been a passionate guy, and he was looking at different opportunities. And I thought, hey, look, I would like an opportunity for myself to maybe expand or learn something new. So I reached out to Dom because Frazier actually partnered with DreamWorks on a few projects. And I've heard nothing but positive things. And Dom would come into the office. He was real kind and polite. So I called him up one time, and Dom is such a stand-up guy. He was like, Jacob, we don't recruit guys from other companies. That's just not our style. He's like, I coach you, but I won't poach you. He goes, if you want to come over and talk to me, we'll sit down, and you and me and Jeremy will have a conversation about that. And we all shook hands. I merged over to Frazier, and that's where I am today, now going on with Frazier for about a year and a half, 2 years.
That's cool. I like that. Coach, I will coach you, but not poach you. That's
That's
really
one
cool.
of Dom's favorite phrases. He does not like recruiting out of companies.
Yeah. Okay. I get that for sure. So you're a sales rep, or you do much more than that? What's your role?
I am a sales rep, but I don't think of myself as a sales rep.
I didn't think so. That's why I asked the question that way.
And
yeah.
so, and I think that's what the mistake that most sales reps have is they forget that they're an LLC, and I treat it like I own my company, because I do. I own my business, and I sell my business to Frazier to build my book of business. So I operate my LLC, and I go and I build and I bring in clientele, and I offer that to Frazier. Frazier has a stand-up ability to build, and their structures and their systems and their warranties are second to none. And that's the best product for my client, is what I see. So I go, hey, look, you're a client of mine. You're trusting me to build your home the way that you want it built. I partner with Frazier on this, and that's how we do. And if more salespeople did it that way, I think their mindset would change, and they would see a success they've never seen before. And a lot of sales guys act and work like they're W-2. They can't get 1099 in their mind. They're still stuck in W-2 mode. And they've got to think like they're their own business. I operate as a sales guy, but as a sales guy who owns my own sales business.
Okay. I get the mindset. Practically speaking, like when you're selling, when you're out there building a relationship, are you like wearing Frazier gear or your own gear?
I'm 100% wearing Frazier gear.
Okay.
I'm Frazier all the way. People recognize me as Frazier. When people call me or when people refer me, most of the time it's like, hey, call Jacob Fuchs. People don't say, or Jacob Fox. It's pronounced both ways, guys. But call Jacob Fox, and he'll take care of your roof. And that's basically what happened. It's very rare for people to see call Jacob a Frazier Roofing. It's called Jacob Fuchs or
right.
So.
Yeah, people do business with people, and I always say this, and I should probably do a poll from our clients, but I will almost guarantee right now that we have paying clients of Contractor Dynamics that know me and they know the people of our team, but they might forget our company name. Yeah, that's just like it goes to show. And but so you built
that's a sign of success, though, and it really is when people recognize the name. And I think that's a very important thing. People go, man, I hear about you, because people get interested and they start researching you. And I think it comes to a different effect. Most people are looking up businesses, but people want to know the person behind the business.
Absolutely. That's one of the, I don't want to say easy because I never sell easy, but like that's one of the most straightforward ways to differentiate. There's a lot of roofing companies in Georgia, Atlanta as well. Like, how are you going to differentiate? It's you, it's the person, it's your relationships, your content, and things like that. So that's a great segue into how you have become in just, a couple of years, year and a half at Frazier, you built up a really solid book of business, a really solid name for yourself where you're the guy. Like people recognize you as the guy, the roofer, and people think of you when they need a roofer. So let's unpack that a little bit, man. How do you get to that point?
Man, it's crazy how fast that journey actually took off. I was in sales for a long time, and I grew up in such a door knocking lifestyle. Like when people don't realize how long I've really been in sales, and I'll bring this back. I grew up in a Jewish household. Okay. So if you didn't have a job by the age of 13, you were an outcast. Like that just wasn't happening. It was like, my dad's like, hey son, like I need you to have a 20-hour week job. Like this, you're just not good. Nice. Like I need you to do something. And it's just the way our culture is. Okay. And there's many ways that has been a blessing to me. So my dad utilized me many, many times in his door-to-door sales. I grew up the son of a door-to-door salesman. Okay. Now, when I was real young, he was a phone sales guy, and he would sell ink cartridges from his home office to everyone who had copy machines and printers as a kid.
Those things are expensive, man.
Yeah. And so once that kind of went out, as times develop, what we sell changes. Okay, people aren't buying ink cartridges and selling those things like they were in the '90s, back when everyone had to have a copy machine and all that jazz. So then he went into cable sales. And my dad had a business phone and a personal phone. And he would make me walk streets and hand me his personal phone and say, hey, hand everyone these packets. And if they're interested in cable, call me and I'll come over and I'll close the deal. And so he was utilizing his 14-year-old son to pound 2 times as many doors as him. And he would come over and close the deal. So from the age of like 13 up until the age of about 18, I was door knocking with my dad every day.
What an amazing skill to develop at such a young age. Like door knocking, talking to strangers, like learning to speak and look people in the eye. That must have been such an education.
It was, and it's all I ever knew. Like even he would have me do everything. You had to be the best at everything you did. So I used to have we called it a buddy barrel. And I was a little kid at church and we had to raise money to put in this thing that would pay money towards missions. And I always collected the most amount of money. And I always asked my dad, like, how? My dad's like, well, go to all the neighbors and ask them if they would like to donate. And it had a coin barrel. And I learned at a young age, if I had the coin, it had a cap and it had almost like a piggy bank where you put quarters in it. And I realized when I took the cap off, I got dollars instead of coins. And I figured that out really young. And I'm going, okay, cool. I'm going to pop this off and I'm going to collect more money than I would if the cap was on it that tells people put change in here. And I would go to all the doors and I would, at the end of the year, at the time, being, 6, 7 years old, I'm going, oh, okay, I collected $500 this year walking my neighborhood for Boys and Girls Missionary Crusade, whatever it was. And so those developments always change. My dad would take me to the bowling alley on Tuesday nights and have him walk around. I would go to all the tables while my dad would bowl with his friends and I would do the same thing. And so my dad was trying to develop me, building communication skills, building these relationships, because he knew that basketball was not going to cut it for me because I was 5'2" and I wasn't going to go further than that. My dad's like, hey, think about sales. And so I've been doing a door-to-door thing for such a long time that when he helped me develop that, it was so natural for me when I got into roofing. And it was second nature to me. And so many years people have known me and followed me online because no matter what I did, I try to market it the best way I could. And I didn't know I was marketing. I had no idea, Joseph, that I was marketing. I thought I was just sharing people my life. And people kind of followed me from business to business and they saw my development. And so I had so many people know, like, if Jacob's in roofing, we're going to trust that he's going to do it the right way. Like he cares about the client. And that was kind of like my start getting into sales. And it was just, it's kind of funny that it started at such a young age to develop into what it is today. But I think I've walked over your question where it's like, how did you build your clientele in roofing today?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, it's just interesting what you said about that. Like you've been marketing, not realizing you're marketing because you're just like documenting what you're doing and showing off your story and your projects and what you're selling and things like that. And I think too many people in, the roofing industry and everywhere really, it's like, okay, I'm doing my business. And then, oh yeah, I got to do marketing over here. And it's like this afterthought. And it's this like thing that's like disconnected from the day-to-day business. But really, like the best way that marketing works, as you and I know, is like when you're just sharing what you're doing on a daily basis. It's real, it's authentic. You're giving people a glimpse as to what it looks like to interact with you, to work with you, to become friends with you, have a conversation with you, whatever it is. Like that's what wins today. Not like, all right, I'm doing my day job, and then all right, I want to try to run some ads or this funnel over here. There's just such a disconnect there. So the way that you do it so naturally, like it's accidental, I guess, but you've seen a lot of success from it, which is why we're talking today.
It's crazy. I call that in a way of doing the right thing the wrong way. And people, and the biggest issue people have is they try something, it doesn't work, and they write it off as this didn't work. No, you did the right thing. You just did it wrong. And people don't connect that. And so it's like, yes, you should market, but you didn't market the way that you should have marketed. And people forget that, because here's the thing that I see, and I love having the cool videos, but we're in the day and time where all these roofers are trying to create these nice music edit, videos of them doing the roofing and trying to look like, oh, like look how cool and pumped up it is. And number one, they're marketing to roofers to show about, hey, look, I'm a better roofer than you. And that's wrong. You're not making any money because roofers aren't buying your roofs. They don't care. You're just, that's all ego. So you're wasting money. And number two is the companies that are spending the amount of money on marketing, I never see last. It's always the startup boom companies that are like, oh, look, we got these cool videos out. And I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying the majority of the ones who have the best content always crash. It's because it's hard to manage doing two great things at one time. It's very difficult. You can do one or the other. Like it's very hard to do two things at full capacity. It's tough. And I've seen many businesses do that. We're going to launch the solar, or we're going to, create this campaign, or, and I've always seen it kind of fumble. But if you quit, the number one thing that I did to help my marketing is I quit selling to roofers. I quit adding my collection of friends as roofers. I literally will go to roofers page. I may go to Joseph Hughes page and look at our friends list. And if I have 500 friends in common with Joseph, that's probably not 500 friends I need. There may be a few of them that I learned from, but most of those are roofers that are adding me, and I'll scroll through that collection of mutual friends, and I'm going down that list, deleting, because I need people to fulfill those spots that only see my content of my stuff. And I mean, they come in every day from that where people go, hey, Jacob, I don't think we've met, but I see your roofing stuff all the time, and it's because I've added this person on social media because they're in a market that I want to sell to. If not, they're going to see my stuff all the time and refer me to someone that they know. Hey, I see this guy on Facebook, every so often. And the reason I delete the guys, for those who don't know, Facebook only has a limit of 5,000 friends. Other social media doesn't. You can add me as a roofer all you want on Instagram. You can add me as a roofer all you want on Twitter. I don't care. On Facebook marketing, I got 5,000. I have to use those 5,000 very wisely. And a lot of people go, why does Jacob have two Facebooks? Because I want 10,000. That's why I want 10,000. It's very difficult for me to manage both Facebooks. You'll see one where I haven't posted like in 6 months. It's very hard. And so people are marketing the wrong way. Number one, they're marketing to roofers. They're not marketing to their clients. And two, they're spending way too much money on marketing when they really don't have to. It really doesn't take that much money. People are not buying from your roofing company because your music video looked a little cooler. I don't think so. I could be. Somebody might. I'm sure somebody is. Maybe they think their house will be the next music video and they think it'll be cool. But it's like, I just don't think that that's as beneficial. And I think people really want to see the day in and day out of really who you are and marketing that way.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. So many good points there. You're talking about the fancy videos and things like that. It's a cost benefit thing, right? Like, yes, it costs a little money to do those videos, but it's more so the time, right? Like you are busy, you've got a family, you've got a successful career, you obviously stay pretty fit. You don't have time to be sitting there, making TikToks and reels all day. I don't do it. We have editors, but like even this podcast content, like it's definitely an investment in time. There's other things I could be doing, but I know that this is, what makes sense for our business. I just like to have, cool and smart people like yourself on, and I just like to look smart by association. That's kind of the secret. But yeah, I mean, people look at it and even podcasts. I was working actually just before we hopped on today, helping my buddy Bob he wants to start a podcast for, his roofing company out in Indiana. Bob Hole. What's up, Bob? And so I was like, all right, well, don't do it just because like guys like me do it, or, whoever you see, like, don't do it because you want to look cool in the roofing industry, because you want to, build up a national audience and get people to know you. Like, you service Rush County, Indiana, right? Southeast Indianapolis area. Just focus on getting guests on that are local business owners, they're influencers, they're people that people know, maybe politicians, highlight things in the local community, that true 5 mile famous strategy, right? Just like help other people become famous, cross market, cross promote. And that's what you should do with your podcast. And he just messaged me that he's starting his first episode today. So that's what you got to think about. It's like, think about your marketing. You want to get known. I call it 5 mile famous. It could be, if you're Bob, you're in a more rural area, that might be a 20-mile radius if you're out in the farm country and whatnot, which I know a lot of people are. But just think about like getting everyone in your market to know who you are. And that's a huge win.
It's so massive. And you actually put a title to something I never actually could put a name on. When you said 5 mile famous to me the first time, I was like, that's it. I had no idea to title it what I felt like was happening. And because I will tell you, the majority, 90% of my sales are probably in a 5 mile radius. It really is. It's
Yeah.
constant. And it's the Atlanta market. And it's a beautiful thing. And when I saw that, I was like, man, Joseph has really nailed this on the head. Like he really has. He has broken this down and I did not realize it, but you made it come so much more alive for me. Once I realized it and I could put a name to it, I could develop it better. And it was so much better. And it's almost gotten to the growth point of stress where I'm like, I have to hire more people. Like it's intense. And I think I was telling you this in Philly and it's only gotten heavier since. Like the winter season is not your top selling season. It's just not. And November and December are my busiest months ever as a roofer in Georgia. Like that's just not normal. And it's because hearing this and then going, oh, like this is what I'm doing. So how do I develop it better? And I 100% believe in that. It's constantly feeding that 5 mile market. And a lot of us are stretching ourselves thin in so many different places. And the miles on our vehicles are completely crazy.
It's so true. And really, like, this is a perfect time of year. I know people will be listening to this for, at different points in the year, but right now it's December. We're kind of looking into 2023, the new year. What's my strategy? What am I going to do? Like, where am I going to focus my time and energy? I'm thinking about that as well. And I was talking with my business coach about it yesterday too. And it's like, sometimes it's not about adding anything new. It's about really doubling down on what's really working and, being more efficient, being more profitable. Maybe it's having more time, working less and having more time with your family. It's things like that. So definitely good things to think about. So practically speaking, you're talking about like, do you actually, you have a prospect or a client, a homeowner, are you actually like adding them as a friend on Facebook or like,
Absolutely.
how do you
100%. Oh, yeah? Most of them will add me or they'll follow me or they'll reach out to me. I will say that 70% of my sales reach out to me via Facebook.
Wow.
70%.
Wow.
Yeah.
They slide right into the DMs?
Slide right into the DMs. I'm so fast and on my phone. I don't even drive. Like that's a real statement. And funny, shout out to Becca Switzer. She gave me that brilliant idea. We went to Clearwater Beach or something. We were hanging out one time and I was telling her about how busy I was. And she's like, you need a driver. I was like, a driver? How bougie is that? A sales guy who needs a driver. She's like, I'm serious. Like the amount of hours you're losing because people are writing out to you on messages like all the time. And she goes, there's so much paperwork you have. Imagine if you got those 3 hours a day back. And I did. But now Katie, who assists me, drives for me. And she does all the driving because I'm constantly responding to Facebook messages.
You have a driver? That's awesome, man. I love it. Time is money.
Well, Katie's now the driver. I reached out before when I was getting a college intern. I'm like, hey, look, I'll pay you like $300 a day to drive me around because I'm making more than that $300 just in the time I'm not losing. Okay. And those 3 hours or 4 hours that I'm driving in a day, I was making that money back. And it sounded bougie. I was embarrassed to do it. I was ridiculed when I wrote on Facebook saying, hey, look, I'm interested in having a driver. People were like, how bougie does that sound? And it wasn't. Like it was something that was truly needed. It was that overwhelming. And I'm going, I can't lose this much time in a day. I'm losing 4 hours of work time. And that's intense. That's a lot of clients that I could be reaching out to because I don't want to text and drive. I have a problem with that. So I try not to do it the best I can.
Yeah.
Because it's constant. People have to get estimates and I'm writing that stuff out on the spot. And so the driver thing has saved my tail.
I never really thought of that. Like I'm not a roofing salesman, so I don't drive as much as you do. I'm not on the road, but that makes a ton of sense, brother. Wow.
Dude, it was a game changer, a absolute game changer. And I'm telling you, it's one of the least costly things that will save you the most or make you the most amount of money. It really will. It really
and it's not just the time, man. It's the energy, especially if you're in traffic, stress, you're zapping your energy. Like, oh man, that's cool. So you mentioned before that you're hiring additional like people on your team, like to help you out with the influx of leads. Like, what does that look like?
I do. And so I'm extremely picky, Joseph. Like when I tell you, you can't be late. Like if you work with my clients, everything is on time. And I'm Jewish saying this, so don't anyone be offended, but I am a customer service Nazi. Like, we ain't playing. We are not playing games. You're going to be on point. You're going to be on time. You're going to do the most thorough inspection. I'm going to have 150 pictures at minimum. I'm going to have the measurements. I'm going to have everything. And I have so many calls. I can't run all those appointments. I really cannot. And I pay my guys and I am very picky. Like, you can't stay on my team if you don't follow the procedure of the checklist. But I will send you out. I'm like, hey, look, so-and-so just called me for a roof. Here's $200. Go out and inspect it. I'm paying that $200 whether it's damaged or not. That's just a risk. I take the gamble. Because here's the thing. In my market, you can't do that in every market. You can't. You have to know your market. I work in a market where people my clients particularly are more take care of their home or better or high end. They'll write a check if they have to. It's not all insurance. I do a lot of retail. And so they're like, hey, look, if my roof's leaking, just put a new one on it. That's how they are. And I'll tell them if they don't need it. I'm like, hey, we can do a repair. It's a pipe boot, super easy, no problem at all. And if it is a repair, I give it to my guy. I quote it up, I write it. I'm like, bro, thanks for going out there. Keep all the commission, all yours. But if it's a roof sale, I pay them the $250 to inspect it, send me the pictures, because I can't run them all. I literally will get 16 calls a day for a roof. 16.
Wow.
That's a lot of inspections. No person can do that.
And so those are all just to kind of hammer the point here, because this is why we're talking, like 16 calls a day. Like, those are coming from what you built on social media, from people reaching out to you. Like, those aren't leads that are handed to you by Frazier.
Frazier does not hand me leads.
Yeah. So that's all self-generated, just building yourself up as the guy that people know, right? I didn't mean to have a leading question there. I'm just confirming that, because that's self-serving a little bit, because I talk about this stuff all the time, but I want the audience to hear it from like a dude, like a regular guy, no offense, you're an amazing guy, regular old guy that is like doing this in the trenches, just putting the work in consistently every day and focusing on it. Like, I really want that point to sink in. And like,
and it's real. And the thing is, people can do it and they don't realize they can. They really can do it. And it wasn't on purpose. It was do things the right way, care a little bit more. And if you just took the time to respond to people on time, they respect that so much. And we have a rule that Dominic and me love to say, and it's called speed kills. Like, we try to be efficient. Why do I have to pay people? I can't run them all. I'm also a dad of a shared custody situation with my daughter. When I have her, it's full time, which is what the 5 Mile Famous to save my life in. It's because, hey, look, this growth allows me to stay at home when I have my daughter. Normally, I'd be out in Atlanta right now, but my daughter's with me now. It's her nap time, luckily. But this is what I'm able to do. I have built myself some freedom from, getting in the trenches and doing these things. And yeah, those calls do come in a day, and I have to pay out for that amount of guys to come out there. I usually have about 3 guys full time. Shout out to Giovanni, Evan Jennings, Richard. Those 3 guys are always pumping out things for me all the time. My brother helps me out from time to time. He's a busy guy himself. He works for the company as well. And but these guys are full-time gunning it for me. And shout out to Colby Yates too. That's another one. These guys are constantly running inspections. Colby Yates, he was a Hancock inspector for many, many years. So he's good at getting me the pictures and telling me the information that I need to see. And I send him the Cash App. and that's what we do like every day. And so sometimes, I will tell you this, I have probably spent $40,000 this year on paying guys to inspect roofs for me that I don't know if they're going to get bought or not. That's the amount of calls that come in where you're going, what's going to happen with this? And it gets expensive, but you don't have a choice. If you stop showing up for these folks, you quit getting the referral.
Yep. You're right. I mean, one of the biggest hesitations or biggest gripes about contractors is like, well, I called 3 guys, only 1 guy got back to me, so I gave him the job. Or, oh yeah, Jake said he's going to show up on Tuesday, but who knows? We'll see. Like that is the standard. Like that's what people expect. So like the fact that you show up on time, the fact that you get back to people on time, that you have a driver so you can get people estimates on time.
Your estimate gets in within 24 hours. That's important.
24 hours. Amazing. Would you, are you open to sharing any numbers, like sales numbers? Or
that's no problem at all. Me, all I can personally close out for myself, let's just say Frazier, we count them on built. We don't count them on contracts or money collected. We count the numbers built. And I'm in the state of Georgia, guys. If you don't know, the average roof here is $13,000. Okay, residential roof. So at Frazier, I built $2.5 million in residential roofs at a $13,000 ticket is the average ticket in Georgia. That's building over 200 roofs, I believe. believe. But I also saw more than one Fraser. I also sold a few $100,000 for Empire Roofing. They do more GC work. So that's a partner of mine that I do. So I give things out to them. And I work with Cat 5 in Florida with Matt Spanton, helping with some commercial stuff. But with Fraser Residential, where I do my 5 Mile Famous, I built 2.5, sold about probably 3 million this year in total jobs.
Awesome work, man. Awesome work.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing is people don't see that also doesn't include what you give away, because we give away things you just can't run. Probably $1 million in giveaways. Like, hey guys, take it. I can't have it. Who wants a free roof lead? Like that stuff gets pushed out there, and that's got to go out. But you can only get it to people you trust, because again, that client called you. You can only give it to a G. Like you can only do that because if they don't pull through. Because at the end of the day, that person's going, well, Jacob, I've had it. Jacob threw me off to so-and-so, and they didn't even show up on time. That stuff sucks.
Bro, same with us in the marketing industry. Like we're a training company, so we don't build websites, we don't run ads and all that stuff. And even our clients are always asking us for like, who do you recommend for website or Google ads? And man, like it's like we give out recommendations very sparingly and very cautiously because that's our name, right? Like it's everything. That's all you have. So kudos to you for that. One of the things you mentioned there, I want to go back to a little bit, is you created this freedom for yourself to be with your daughter, to be with your family, to, stay healthy and fit and all that good stuff. And man, that's why we all get into business, right? Like at some level, we worked for, corporate America. We worked for another company. We wanted more freedom. We wanted more upside. We wanted to create our own thing, put our mark on the world. And so many of us, and man, I'm guilty of this too, right? I'm not immune to it. Like so many of us get into this, like we build a job for ourselves and, we stop working 40 hours a week so we can work 80 hours a week. And we never really kind of get out of the grind. So the fact that you have created leverage by hiring a driver, by finding guys that you can, go get to inspect roofs, by right now and on Thursday afternoon, you're not running around Atlanta knocking on doors because you built up your pipeline in such a way that you've got people coming to you. Yeah. And that's huge. And I'm not knocking, right? Like you
I'm a biggest advocate for knocking. So that's what built this. Door knocking built everything.
Right.
And so I laugh at when people go, oh, what's a good way to pay for leads? I'm like, pay for leads? Like, why are you paying? Like, you can go out. I'm not saying they're bad. I believe in paying for leads. I'm saying build up your pipeline the best you can first. I know people who sell great lead company, like they're great lead generation companies. Fraser uses them. I can't take them. I'm like, no, good. Give them to somebody else. I can't take on anything extra. I believe in them. They're great. And there's good to get that. Someone has to get that clientele, but door knocking is so underrated, completely underrated.
I won't say I never door knocked, but like, when I started business, like I went out there, I was cold calling them, contractors and things like that for first little bit. And then you get to the point where you build up your book of business, referrals, you do good work, you do good marketing. And thankfully, I don't really have to do that anymore. But I think guys, and girls get stuck in that. Like I always have to do door knocking, but like, man, there's a lot of leverage to be created by creating your pipeline, creating your brand so that people come to you, so that you don't have to work 80 hours a week, so that you can be with your family, right? Like you say that you're doing this for your family and you're out there, door knocking, working 16 hours a day. Like, are you really doing it for your family? Or are you just unwilling to do the right work that you need to do to get yourself in a better position? So, that could be a whole other topic, but
absolutely.
That's like good for you for creating that lifestyle. And, no doubt that you work hard, but you work smart as well. So
I do. And I'm still every day I'm still going, how do I create more freedom? Like how to? It's because even at this point, it gets overwhelming because I micromanage. I'm not going to lie to you. Like I'm up my guys' rear ends. I'm like, and I love them. I pay them for it though. Like I do. Like even my project managers, when they're building a roof, I would say I could be wrong, but all of my experience says that the average roof project manager who's watching the job go up, who's making sure things are supervised or whatever the people want to title them, probably on average gets paid $250 a build. I probably pay my guys $300 to $350 a build. I pay additional money because I have different expectations. So I am harsher, but it's like there's a reason roofers don't post their builds till after it's completed. I will post the entire project because there's not trash all over my yards. It ain't happening. Plywood's not spread across their $400 house. They just built $400,000 house with the grass getting killed by the OSB laying across it while the sun cooks on it in a hot Georgia afternoon. That's just not going to be on my build. I need Susie and her baby walking their stroller down the street to go, man, what a clean job site that is. All those guys are wearing matching shirts. Yes, like they're not going to wear different brands from different companies. So we all experience that. So-and-so is not walking up to your house in Bobby's roofing shirt when you're not Bobby's roofing. It's just not going to happen. Okay. Not on my builds. And I tell my PMs, I'm like, you take these shirts home and wash them because the crew's not going to wear them back the same day for tomorrow's job. I'm going to pay you an extra $50 if you wash these, run them in the dryer and bring them back the next morning. Like these are just, I have to have the proper order. And so I'm strict, but this is what it takes.
Yeah. I mean, it's who you are and it's who you want to be known for. And you've established that brand. That's what people get. And going back to the beginning, like you talked about, I forget what we were talking about, but the idea that the authentic content, right? Like people want to see you, they want to see authenticity because they want to have that certainty that you're going to take care of them, right? Things might not always go as planned. You might rip off the roof and find rotten decking or whatever, but they know because they trust you that you're going to take care of them and it's not going to be a burden on them, right? Like that certainty is why we're showing off, our builds, why we're getting on video, why we're doing everything is to build that know, like, and trust. So what are give us some of the examples of like types of content? Obviously people can go on your Facebook and follow you and Instagram and all that, but what types of content do you post? Is it like the build content?
So half the content people don't actually get to see. Let's say I join a neighborhood page. And the reason I like Facebook over other social media platforms is because you're not going to go to Instagram and see Northbrook Subdivision's Instagram page. You're not going to find that, but you will find it on Facebook. It is the only social media platform that has neighborhood groups in it. It's the only one that exists. And if there is one, please tell me about it because I'm unaware. But it's the only one that I'm aware outside of Nextdoor. Okay. And if I'm in that group, it's a private group. The videos I create during my builds can't be seen by the public. So I'm here with myself going, what's going on, Northbrook Subdivision? This is Jacob. I'm on so-and-so street at 1489 Howard Avenue. We're doing a build. Come by, talk to me. Come see my crew. I want you to know and one thing I try not to do in my marketing is I don't try to sell them on the video. I'm going, guys, there's a wind gust coming by. There may be some debris that might blow in your yard. If you have any nails that come across your street or you see anything, please notify me. Here's my cell phone number. That's the kind of content I put out. So it's like, because the neighbor goes, well, we can't have marketing. I didn't market. I said, if trash gets in your yard, call me. I'll come by and pick it up. Like these are little tricks that I use that actually help me get that content out there and I become a familiar face because I'm building so much. I have to post a video every day because I'm building in there and I'm going, what's going on? I'm on so-and-so street today. Hey, I'm on this street today. Hey guys, I just picked up some wings. If you want to sit down and have a meal with our guys, I got some extra food here. Let me know. Come by, say, hey, I do that crazy stuff. Like I just want them to feel like I'm part of that community. And funny, I never mentioned this. What helped launch all those videos was, I'm not sure how long ago you followed me, but I used to do them all on Daisy Dukes. And it took off like
I've seen a couple, unfortunately.
Yeah. And so, but it was a crazy amount of effects that actually had. So today we still get calls. If my assistant gets a call, she'll be like, hey, can you wear the Daisy Dukes to the house? That happens all the time. And so people will share that kind of content and they love it on their social media page. They think it's hysterical. Especially like I can't do that stuff in Thomaston, Georgia, but I can do it in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a different clientele. And so knowing your market and knowing who you're talking to makes a huge difference. But
yeah, you got like
the content videos that we post or on my social media, I want people to go see that I'm with my family. You got to remind people that you're a human being. People all the time, when they come in a roofing company, they go, I got to create Jacob Fox's Facebook roofing page. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's a complete lie. You will get a sale. I have one of those pages and I will tell you for every 500 leads that come in on my personal one, I'll get one on my business page. Because people go, oh, look, there he is changing a diaper. There he is washing his kid. This is a human being that I can know the ins and outs of and realize they're a real human being. And when they call me, I'll be on the phone with them and I don't hide any real life from them. Sorry, you're going to hear my 3-year-old saying, hey, Miss Susie on the phone when I say your name because she's going to want to talk to you and you better talk to her because she's 3 and she's not going to take you not talking to her. She wants to inspect your roof too. Like I want my homeowners to feel what the inside of my life is. Hey, can you hold on one second? This is a really nasty diaper I'm in the middle of changing. Like, these are real things I say to my clients because I need them to know, because also they give you a little bit more grace when they remember that you're a human being. And I need them to know that. And I need them to know, hey, look, and that's why it's important. I don't know if did I show you my comic book?
I think you told me about it. I don't think I actually saw it.
Okay, so, and this is one of the things that was part of that marketing thing. I made a comic book that I give my clients. It's actually
a freaking comic book.
Yeah, I made a comic book, and it gives them the expectations. But one of the most important things is that I tell my homeowners, this page right here is, let's see here. It's got this. But my last name being Fox, you'll see my little girl right there. I call her B because her name's Brooklyn, but I call her B for short. There's a bumblebee on her shirt right there. And it says on the top of this, hey, I may be with my family. If I don't answer my phone, send me a text. Family's important to me. My motto is faith, family, Fraser Roofing. So if I don't get back to you, I promise you, me or Katie will reach out to you here in a few minutes. It's just family is very important to us. And the better I am at home, the better I am a provider for you. And if people see the real you, it makes a huge difference. It's part of the marketing things that we do. And I didn't create that to go, ooh, this is marketing. I created that because this is stress off my back. This is things this preaches the expectations for me. It gives me freedom. And it lets them know, hey, look, and they love that. This is part of those things that makes them feel different when they're talking to me. It's taking the time to give them something to read, let them know, hey, look, this is my family. This is what we do. And they're seeing that through social media as well.
Man, go back and rewind that, everyone. That is awesome. That's a masterclass. And I agree, brother. Like, I used to keep everything separate. This is like 7 years ago. I had my personal social media. I had Contractor Dynamics, and it was like very separate. And honestly, my brand took off when I just said, screw it. Like, I am who I am, business wise, personal. It's, all in on building my personal brand. And like, that's been absolutely huge. And I'll never forget, Jason Berg?
Jason Berg.
He's a Florida guy, commercial roofing guy, OG, awesome guy. He reached out probably 5 years ago. And I had seen him at the trade shows and things like that. At the time, like, I was younger, I was newer to business, and he's like, he's pretty baller. So he reached out. He's like, hey man, like, I love your values. I see you're a family man. I need a couple websites done, some marketing help. Like, I want you to help me out. And he didn't know, anything about what I did or what I charged or things like that. But he saw the fact that I was a family man, the values. We had met a couple times at trade shows, and that's how that business was created. And like, I was just texting with him this morning, Merry Christmas messages back and forth, like with Jason, and that's 5 years later. So like, it's huge. Like, people do business with people. So don't hide behind your logo. Don't hide behind the stupid stock photos. Like, you've got to get out there and just show people who you are.
Absolutely.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'll teach, if I could give roofers any type of advice when it comes to that, for the love of your sales, quit showboating. It ain't helping you sell more roofs. It's not. Like, they don't care that you got a Rolex. They don't care. And a lot of people tell themselves this lie, like, well, that client likes to see that we're successful, which means we're doing not as much as you think it is. You might find a client who does. That client may love the fact that you own a Lamborghini. You might find that one client because their 3-year-old wants to sit in it. Who knows? And,
right.
But I would say the majority of the time, they want to know that their money is being invested in the quality of life things. People like to know where their money's going. And I would say that, yes, you probably can get a sale because your truck is extra bougie and you have a Lamborghini or a Rolex. Sure, you can. I would willing to bet all of my expertise and all of the little bit that I know, I would bet that your sales would triple if you cut that out.
Yeah, because you're probably losing sales because people are like, man, if he can afford a Lambo, then he's definitely overcharging me. And
that's how they think. That's really how they think. And you know that you're in a rough company if a company tries to push you into looking extra bougie at your expense and not theirs. It only makes their clout go up, but your bills suffer. Like, yeah, man, go get that F-350. Oh, man, we'll wrap it, blah, 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 blah. And guess what? You pay that bill every month, not them.
There you go.
But hey, look, they look like a bigger company and more reputable. They're not in your best interest. They're in building their brand. And I would tell you, if anyone, pays attention and on this about one thing you could take away is that's important. That's an important aspect is people. I don't need to, it's not my personality. And I'm going, I literally told Katie, I was like, oh gosh, I hope he doesn't ask me about, sales numbers or profits. Cause I don't ever like to be that guy. It's just not my personality. And it's like, she's like, hey, just be real. It's okay. And be like, word what you're comfortable with. And I was like, yeah, cause it's just never mind. Like I literally, when we posted the Fraser like awards of how much I sold this year, I blurred out my number because I don't want people to see me as a number. I work hard and the number is big because I work hard. But for me, it's not about the number. It never will be. And so it's about.
I hear that. And that's why I phrased it that way. Like I know certain people like to talk about that. I mean, it does give you a little bit of credibility for people watching and listening. Like, who is this guy? So
it's a different client. You're not selling the client. You're telling roofers the best way to market. The name of the game that you're in, it's needed. It's desperately needed. For the sales guy in roofing, it's everything it belongs in. Doing the right things the wrong way. Doing the right things the right way. For this, it's doing it the right way.
Yeah, you're right. There's so much content out there from roofers that is focused on getting other roofers to see you in such a way, right? Yeah. Like your homeowner doesn't care that, you fought State Farm and got that roof bought or, that whatever it might be, or the big check, like that can be used for recruiting, but like your homeowners don't care about that, or your prospects don't care about that.
And roofers will do it because they want to get sales guys. They want to get more sales guys. Hey man, hold up $150,000 check. And I'm like, I ain't trying to get those kind of DMs. I don't need them in my life.
There you go. Yeah, man, we got to start wrapping up here, but I appreciate this, man. What is, I have to ask, cause we're getting into 2023 in just about a week here. Anything new and exciting coming up for 2023 or just,
there's a lot going on for 2023. So the main goal, what I'll say so far is, for the first time, I'm expanding a personal business, also partnered with Fraser. And because I'm trying to create more freedom again for myself. And I'm very open. I will always be Fraser 100%. But there is something I am doing personally for me, for my clientele. Like I said, I'm very particular. And so I have a different higher end type of client at times. So there will be specialty projects that I have a business, personal business, that will be maintaining those types of clients. And without going into too much detail on that, but it is going to be possibly a partnership with Fraser, and I always will sell for Fraser. But I need something that's for my family where we have a few people that are able to handle the much that I give away. And the main reason behind that is, like I said, I've given away millions, over $1 million in sales this year, I believe. I've not, done the math of what the guys ended up closing those out at. But I would probably predict up to $1 million in sales of what I've given away. And I want to do something where I can actually kind of live off that a little bit more personally, and where I can create more freedom for my family. And so that's a goal in 2023, and create that freedom to be the family man that I want to be, to love my daughter as much as I can and let her feel like I'm there as much as possible. Where I can make every gymnastics meet and make all those things, because I want to be as fast as I am for my clients. I want to be that at home, and I can be 5 mile famous across the world, but I'd rather be famous in my house. And that's important to me. That's what makes my heart, wake up every morning and makes me thrive, is going, how can I be the hero in my house today? And that hero means I have to work my butt off for my clients. They should be proud of that. But I'm building something where I can take care of my family more and be more famous in my home.
I don't think there's any better way to end a conversation than that, man. That is powerful stuff. I could be 5 mile famous, I could be world famous, but I'd rather be famous in my own house, man. That hit home. I'm getting emotional. That's huge. I think we can all relate to that.
She's my everything. So my daughter is my world. So, man, I'm very honored to be a dad.
My eyes are sweating, man. Well, thank you so much, brother, for sharing. Man, I've learned a lot. I'm taking some notes here. Can't wait to get this out to the market and help more people create more freedom by becoming 5 mile famous and just doing the work, man. So thank you so much we know how valuable your time is now. So thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Dude, I was absolutely honored to be here. I was lucky to be home. I had her for the holiday break, and that was pretty cool. So it worked out perfect timing. And you nailed it under nap time. So the fact that you nailed this at nap time is even better.
I mean, hey, we're all about efficiency, right? We got a lot to get done. So that worked out. Not everything works out, especially with kids and naps. We all know that. But we got to win today. So we'll take that.
It's true. I'll tell you this funny story real quick. I woke up at 1:30 in the morning last night. And no, not one. This is the night before. Last night I slept on the couch because she kept crawling on my head. Because she'll crawl on. She'll call it daddy bed. She'll jump in my bed. Walk in there at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. But the night before, I wake up and I hear a rumbling in the living room. And I go up. This 3-year-old turns on the TV, watching television with a box of chocolates in her lap. She is chilling, eating chocolate on the couch, having her best life. I'm like, it's 2 a.m.
It's funny. Like we work our whole lives just so we can achieve that. So we can get the opportunity to do that. What she's doing at 3 years old. So I think she's got to figure it out, man.
Yeah, she may. Right now she's famous in the household, man. She thinks she is the queen. She's not 5 Mile famous. She is the queen of the house.
Awesome.
That is it. She knows. She goes, Daddy, I'm in charge.
Oh yeah.
She tells me all the time.
Love it.
Thank you, Joseph. It was an absolute joy. Hope I didn't talk your ear off too much.
No, all good, brother. I appreciate you. And hope to see you soon in 2023.
Yes, sir. Awesome.